Hey guys, today we we are going to be working on graphing inequalities. So for Monday and Tuesday of this e-learning week, you guys worked on writing inequalities from real world situations, and today we are going to be graphing inequalities. And this is one of those lessons I usually like to joke around with you guys and say, hey, tonight for your homework, all you have to do is do one problem. And that's what all I want you to do is to tell me all the numbers less than 5. Just write them down. All the numbers in the world less than 5. At that point, you guys usually try to argue with me because that is impossible. And it'd be impossible to write down all the numbers less than 5. But for this lesson, we'll be able to do that by graphing them on a number line. And by doing that, by graphing them on a number line, you can quickly show me a visual representation of what all the numbers less than 5 would look like. So if you look right here, we have an algebraic inequality. If you remember, an algebraic inequality contains a variable, it contains an inequality sign, and it contains a number. That is an algebraic inequality when it contains all three of those. So this says I want all the numbers less than 5. All the numbers less than 5. So the way we do this is we first find the number that is in our algebraic inequality, right there. That is 5. We go to 5 on the number line and we circle the little dash, the little hash above it. So I'm going to circle there. Step 1. Step 2 is to realize which direction are the numbers that are less than 5. Are the numbers less than 5 to the left, or are the numbers less than 5 to the right? And hopefully you can look at this and say, hey, all the numbers in the world that are less than 5 are going this direction. So we draw a line that way. We put an arrowhead on it. And that's my answer. That shows me where all the numbers are less than 5. So for the second one, it says graph all of the numbers that are greater than 2. Graph all of the numbers that are greater than 2. Because remember, that letter, that variable represents we don't know. So we want all the numbers that when you plug in there are greater than 2. So step 1, you find 2 on the number line. We circle it. After we circle it, we say, hey, which direction from that circle are the numbers greater than 2? Well, if I go to the left, the numbers get smaller. If I go to the right, my numbers get bigger. So my arrowhead's going to go to the right, and that's my answer right there. That is where all the numbers are greater than 2 are located at. And so when we do this, hopefully you see when I use a less than or greater than sign, all I have to do is circle the number. We'll come back to this here in a second. I just circle the number. Ooh, that's not what I wanted at all. I wanted to circle. There we go. That looks better. All right. Now on number 3, it says t is less than or equal to -3. So that says I want all the numbers in the world that are less than or equal to -3. Less than or equal to. So I start off the exact same way. I find my -3. I circle it. Just so. And which direction are the numbers less than -3? Well, the farther you walk away from 0 on the negative direction, the smaller the numbers get. So it's going to go this way. But here comes the difference. Because it has that equal to sign there, that or equal to, less than or equal to sign, the only difference when I graph this inequality is I have to fill this circle in. I need colored in, and that is important. So I'm going to color that in. So now that's my answer. So if you notice, if there is no equal to sign below the inequality sign, we leave the circle, we call it empty or hollow. And if there is an equal to sign, I have to fill it in. So my last one says h is greater than or equal to 4. So step 1, find 4. Step 2, circle it. Step 3, because it had that, because it had the equal to sign underneath it, I shaded in. And I want all the numbers greater than 4 or equal to 4, so it's going to go in that direction. So we'll go up here again. So if you have one of these two signs, you do the exact same circle, except you have to color it in. Let's speed the process up a little bit. Ooh, there we go. All right. So there is your first 4 examples of how to do that. So, review the steps. Step 1 is to find the number. So wherever number is in our algebraic inequality, we circle that number. And then we look to see, do we shade that circle in? If there's no equal to sign, we don't shade it in. If there is an equal to sign, we shade it in. And after we do that, then it's our job to decide if it goes left or right, depending if it's less than or equal to. Now, this is something I think is kind of cool, and I always teach at the end, is if I zoom in at our inequality signs, I can kind of pretend like those are little arrowheads. That's a little arrowhead right there. If you might notice once I zoom out here in a second, that our inequality sign actually points the way our graph is going to go. So if we treat those as little arrowheads, you will notice it goes the exact same way as our inequality. And that's a cool little feature. We'll talk more about it in a second, but that only happens when our variable comes first. If our variable doesn't come first, we'll have to rewrite it. But that is a little hint. If you don't know which way your arrow should go, look at that inequality sign and it points the direction it should go. All right, let's go try a few more. So here's a few more. I'm going to do these with you. T is less than or equal to 1. Step 1, find 1, circle it, and I'm going to fill it in because it has that equal to sign. So I'm going to fill it in. So I'm going to find 1, fill it in, circle it, and it is less than or equal to, so it means the number is less than 1 or to the left, or if I draw my little line there, it points to the left. And when you draw your arrow or your line, it doesn't have to be any specific length. Just make it long enough I can see it pretty clearly. There's the answer to that one. The next one says m is less than -1. So I'm going to find -1. I'm going to circle it, but I'm not going to color it in because there is no bar underneath my inequality sign. It also says less than, so it's also going to go to the left. Just like that. I did not fill it in because there is no bar there. If there was a bar there, I'd fill it in. H is greater than or equal to 0. I find my number, I circle it. I then see, hey, there is the equal to bar, so I color it in. And it says greater than or equal to, well, the number is greater than 0 or to the right. So I'm going to fill that way. Or if you notice, it also points that way. And last but not least on this slide is A is less than or equal to, or no. A is less than -3. Step 1, find -3. Step 2, circle it. Step 3, do I fill it in? No, because there is no inequality symbol, and it's going to be pointing to the right. So it's going to be going that way. So far, so good, hopefully. So let's go down to these. These are a little trickier, because if you notice, my variable does not come first. We always want to have our variable first. So when we do these, I want you guys to rewrite these with the variable first, and I'll show you how that's done. When we do these, I'm going to write the variable first, so t. My number second. And if I flip the location of the variable and the constant, the variable and the number, all I have to do is flip the sign of the inequality sign as well. If you imagine this as little Miss Pac-Man eating the 4, if I flip stuff around, she still needs to be eating the 4. And if you look, she's still eating the 4. So you just have to flip it around when you flip the numbers and variables around. So here I want to put my variable first. I want to put my number second. It is eating the I, so it still needs to be eating the I. Okay? Go down. I want to put my variable first, my constant second. It's eating the 5, eating the 5. I want to put my E first, my 2 second. It's eating the E. It's still eating the E. So that is a big thing. If the variable does not come first, we need to rewrite it so the variable does come first. And once I do that, it's back to what we were doing. Find the number 4, circle it, color it in. I colored in because there is that equal to bar underneath it, and it's going to be going to the left because this is going to the left. Find my -3, circle it. Circle it. It is not colored in because there's no line underneath it, and it's going to go to the right. Find my 5, circle it. I do not color it in because there's no equal to bar. It's going to go to the left. And find my 2, circle it, color it in, and it's going to go to the right. So I can't reiterate enough, you must rewrite this with the variable first. If you do not rewrite it with the variable first, you will graph this wrong every time. You must write with the variable first. So maybe if I'm going to zoom in just right here for a second. So when we graph these, the first thing we want to do is make sure the variable is written first. Step 2, circle a number. Step 3, color in number if needed. And step 4, draw arrow same direction as the inequality sign. Room there. Not the prettiest handwriting, guys, I apologize, but hopefully you get the point. That those are my steps right there. I make sure, or number 1, make sure the variable is written first. 2, I circle the number. 3, I color in the number if needed. 4, I draw the arrow the same direction as the inequality sign. If you do those 4 things, you'll make sure you get all these right. All right. Let's go down and I'm going to do the opposite real quick. Here I have a graph. I want you to draw, to write an inequality. So if you think about an algebraic inequality, it contains a few things: a number, a variable, and an inequality sign. So this one, I'm going to start by my inequality by putting a letter. Simple as that. What number is circled? -2. And I leave a spot in the middle. Which way is my inequality pointing? Well, it's going to the right, so my inequality needs to point to the right. So once again, if you think this is a little mini arrow, it needs to point the same direction as that arrow there. But don't leave the arrow. Get rid of that. Okay, on the next one, I have my phi being circled, filled in and to the left. So I write my variable. I write the number that's circled. I draw my inequality sign the same direction my arrow is going. And the last thing is, if you notice, my circle here is filled in, so I have to write my equal to sign underneath my less than sign. I made that a little bit bigger than I wanted. There we go. That's better. On this one, variable, space, number circled. It's going to the right, so make sure I put my inequality sign to the right, and it's filled in, so I need an equal to sign. And last but not least, I need my variable, I need my number, it's pointing to the left, it's not filled in, so I don't put an inequality, or I don't put a equal bar underneath my inequality symbol because it does not need to have that. So hopefully this helps. Before we'll skip that slide before we move on. I want to go over these last few things. Remember, the inequality sign points the same direction as the arrow as long as the blank, blank, blank. That's what you should say. As long as the variable comes first. We have to have that variable come first. If the inequality sign also has an equal sign, you must fill in the circle, or color in, fill/color in the circle. Okay. So key things there, remember the inequality sign points the same direction as the arrow as long as the variable comes first. If the inequality sign also has an equal sign, you must fill/color in the circle. And I'm going to just paste these right here. That way it's in someplace nice and legible. You guys can see a little bit better. And maybe this would be something you'd want to take a screenshot of before you start your homework. That way you have the steps pretty easily laid out. Once again, I apologize for my sloppy handwriting, but I think it's good enough. And there you guys go. There are the steps. So please make sure you do your homework. If you have any questions, email me, contact me on Facebook. Don't do that. Contact